Hi, everybody. So we're going to continue with our lesson on linear functions and writing equations of linear functions. But I wanted to start out by just reminding you that the lesson that we're going to be going over very shortly is all the lesson notes and everything you need is found in the Schoology folder. So before we get into this video, before you start watching this video, I want you to head into our Schoology course, and I want you to take a look in the folder. It's purple, and it's the folder with the learning target and the name, writing the equation from a point and the slope. And the learning target, I can write a linear function given the slope of the line and a point on the line. Okay? You'll see in there our class instructions, the discussion board. But what I want you to do is I want you to click on the blank notes, and I want you to have those available either on the side, or if you can print them out, that's great, but you don't have to, or open up Notability while you watch the video and follow along, okay? So this is what they look like today. You're going to see, I'm just going to go over those in a couple minutes. You'll also notice that in that same folder is some practice and the answer key. So after you're done watching this video, I want you to click on that, and I want you to give these problems a try, okay? Hopefully you should be able to do them after you watch the lesson video. The answer key is also in that file, so if you just click on it and go to the second page, you'll see the answers. So go ahead and do them without looking at the answers, then check your answer with the answer key, and if you have any questions, contact me. The last thing you'll see, and this is going to replace our exit slip today, this is a non-graded Desmos activity. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the Desmos link, and you're going to join the Desmos activity. Please use your real name. That's how I can see who does and who doesn't finish up the Desmos activity, and it's all related to lines and slopes and things like that, okay? And again, this is going to replace your exit slip, and it is not graded. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's start talking about what the lesson is for today. Remember that our learning target is that you can write the equation of a line given the slope and the coordinates of a point on that line, okay? So we're sticking with the slope-intercept form. Remember, that's y equals mx plus b, okay? And m, of course, is the slope, and b is the y-intercept of the line. Let's take a second and just review, and let's try to identify. Here's a couple problems right here. What we want to do is we want to identify the slope and the y-intercept of each of these lines, okay? So let's take a look at number one. Please remember that the slope of the line is the number that is in front of the x. So in number one, if you see 2/3 in front of the x, that means the slope of this line is 2/3. Lastly, the y-intercept is the number that's added or subtracted to that x term. So in this case, the y-intercept of this line, b, would be equal to positive 5, okay? So again, m is what's in front of the x, b is what's added or subtracted at the end. How about number two? What's the slope of that line? I think you got it. So the slope is 4. What's the y-intercept of that line? -1. Good job. All right, last one, number 3. What is the slope of that line? The slope is -1/2. What about the y-intercept? Did you notice that there's nothing added or subtracted after the x? That's because the value of the y-intercept in this case is equal to 0. And when it's equal to 0, we do not have to write it. So the y-intercept in this case is equal to 0, okay? So when you see something missing there, added or subtracted at the end, there's nothing added or subtracted. That means the y-intercept of that line is equal to 0. All right, so we know that in order to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b form, we need to know the slope and the y-intercept. But what if we only have the slope and the coordinates of one other point on the line? How do we find the y-intercept algebraically? Let's take a look, okay? Let's consider the line, and I'm going to do a little highlighting here. Let's do this. Consider the line which has a slope of 2 and goes through the point 1, comma 5. Okay, so the slope is 2, and we know the line also contains the point 1, comma 5. Now, the 0.15 is not the y-intercept. So I'm going to say that again. It is not the y-intercept. How do we know it's not the y-intercept? Well, remember that the y-intercept is always going to have the coordinates 0, comma b, 0, comma something, okay? And this point 1, comma 5 is not 0, comma something. So this is not the y-intercept. Instead, what's given to us is a value of x and a value of y, okay? So 1 is equal to x, 5 is equal to y, and of course, if you remember, the slope is 2, so m is equal to 2. All right? So we have to find the y-intercept algebraically. It's not that difficult, but I have broken it down into a few mathematical steps, okay? So let's start with step number 1. Start by writing y equals mx plus b. Literally write down y equals mx plus b. So you're going to go ahead and write y equals mx plus b, okay? Step number 2 says replace the given x, y, and m into that equation. Leave b as b, and remember that mx means m times x. So put the x value in parentheses. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute the 3 numbers I know, okay? I know m is 2, x is 1, and y is 5. I'm going to replace the y, the m, and the x with those 3 numbers. I'm going to leave b as b, and I'm going to put the x value in parentheses. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like. Do you remember what y was equal to? Y was equal to 5. Okay, so again, remember, we're just replacing. What is m? M is 2. X, now here's our x. So we're going to put this in parentheses. Okay, whoops. Our x is 1, right? So we're going to put 1 in parentheses. And then it said, remember to leave b as b. So we're going to put plus b as plus b. There's step number 2. Step number 3 says solve for b. We're going to multiply the m and the x together, okay? Then either add or subtract it from both sides to undo it. Essentially, we're solving a one-step equation and we're isolating b. So 5 is equal to 2 times 1 is 2 plus b. Okay, so remember, we just did 2 times 1 is 2. And now we're going to undo it. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides in order to eliminate the 2's there. Okay? And we get 3 is equal to b. That's step number 3. Lastly, we're going to rewrite the equation y equals mx plus b, but we're going to replace the m with our given m and the b with the b that we just found. Okay? So again, we go back to y equals mx plus b. We're going to replace the m and the b with the 2 numbers that we know. Y gets to stay y. Okay, so we'll do it in pink. Y is equal to, do you remember what m was? M was equal to 2. So 2, x gets to stay x, and then plus the b. And what was b? B was 3. So plus 3. This is the equation of the line that has a slope of 2 and goes through the point 1, comma 5. Okay? So again, the step-by-step approach is right there for you. It's just a matter of substituting the 3 numbers you know, solving for b, and then rewriting the equation with the new m and b. Leave y as y, leave x as x. Okay? We're going to do a couple more. Let's try it again. Here's the next one. What is the equation of the line that goes through the point negative 2, 3, and has a slope of 1/2? So remember what the steps were. First, write down y equals mx plus b. Then we're going to substitute the y value, the m value, and the x value that we were given in the problem. So remember, the second number here is y, the first number is x, and then the slope is m. So this equation now becomes 3 equals 1/2 times x, which is -2, and then the b gets to stay plus b, okay? Now we're going to multiply the m and the x together. 1/2 times -2 is -1. So -1 plus b is equal to 3. And now we're going to undo the -1 with a +1, and we're going to get 4 is equal to b. So we have the slope, we have the y-intercept. Now it's time to write the equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. Okay, so y is equal to 1/2 x plus 4. That's the equation of the line that has a slope of 1/2 and goes through the point -2, 3. We just followed along with those 4 simple steps. We're going to do one more, okay? One more. What is the equation of the line which contains the point 5, 5 and has a slope of 1? So the first 5 is x, the second 5 is a y, and the slope m is equal to 1. So we're going to go back to y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to change colors here. Let's change it to dark blue, okay? What is y? 5 is equal to m, which is 1, times x, which is 5, plus the b. We're going to multiply m and x together. We get 5 is equal to 5 plus b. And then we're going to subtract. So we need to isolate that b, remember. So we're going to subtract 5, and we get 5 minus 5 is 0 equals b. Do you remember our conversation from up above here with this number 3? Do you remember what happened when b was equal to 0? We had nothing written after the mx, okay? So let's go down and let's write our final equation. Remember, it's y is equal to mx plus b. Do you remember what m was? M was 1, 1x plus b was 0. So we could write it like this if we want, or we can write it as y is equal to 1x without the 0. And this is kind of common. You'll see it written like this. You might even be seeing it look like y is equal to x, since we don't even need to write the 1, right? So these are the simple steps that we go through in order to find the y-intercept of the line when we're given the point and the slope on the line. Now, I broke it down into step 1, 2, 3, and 4, showed you multiple examples, okay? What I'd like you to do now, remember, is open up that practice sheet that's back in Schoology, and I want you to try some on your own, and then I want you to check your answers with the answer key, and if you have any questions, contact me as soon as possible. When you're done with those practice problems and you feel good about writing the equation of a line, then go ahead and do the Desmos activity, and you're done for the day. I'm sitting around waiting to be contacted by you, so please, please, please don't hesitate. Better to contact me as soon as you have a question than to wait too long. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.